He has a certain vision, and it's not exactly our vision, but it's a lot closer than it was a year ago.
President Trump is walking away from Vietnam with no deal. Why the U.S. and North Korea could not agree on nuclear weapons.
Not wanting to stop in repeated position.
Just like my dog ate my homework, a Cape Coral woman's excuse didn't give her a free pass with police. Why driving hungry ended with handcuffs.
Preventing crime and keeping the fair fun. I'm Ashley Dyer, and I'll tell you how LTSO plans to do just that by using this observation tower. Next at 11.
We begin with breaking news at 11. Lee County deputies are looking for the person who did this. Taped a dog's mouth shut. You just saw it in this picture. Someone noticed this dog wandering around a backyard in Lehigh Acres. Lee County Domestic Animal Services found that dog on 42nd Street. The dog was panting, drooling, and suffocating. Now deputies are searching for the dog's owner and whoever taped its mouth shut. The dog has been treated and right now is resting. If you know any information, please contact the sheriff's office.
Also breaking at 11, lawyers for the man accused of killing 5 people in the Capital Gazette newsroom are considering changing his plea. A hearing is scheduled today in Maryland for Gerard Ramos. His lawyers can ask for more details about the charges that he's facing. Last July, the 38-year-old entered a plea of not guilty. His lawyers could change that plea by arguing insanity. They have until March 15th to file the plea. The trial date has been set for June.
President Trump is leaving Hanoi, Vietnam without a deal to denuclearize North Korea. Now, the president says that he and Kim Jong-un still have a good relationship, but the president says he had to just walk away from a bad deal. Karen Kafa reports.
After the hopes of denuclearization and even talk about an official end to the Korean War, the summit in Hanoi between President Trump and North Korea's Kim Jong-un ends without a deal.
I think actually it was a very productive 2 days, but sometimes you have to walk.
Just before President Trump was set to take questions from reporters, the White House issued a statement. No agreement was reached at this time, but their respective teams look forward to meeting in the future. A signing agreement had been on the schedule, as was a working lunch. Neither happened. The press conference with the president happened 2 hours earlier than planned. A key sticking point, Trump said, the international sanctions in place on North Korea that have crippled Kim's economy by limiting their trade with the world. The president said North Korea wanted all of them lifted in exchange for closing some, but not all, of their nuclear sites.
They wanted the sanctions lifted in their entirety, and we couldn't do that. They were willing to denuke a large portion of the areas that we wanted, but we couldn't give up all of the sanctions for that.
Still, the White House called the sessions productive, talking about ways to get toward denuclearization and economic ideas other than lifting the sanctions. Trump said the summit ended warmly and that it was a very friendly walkout.
President Trump is scheduled to arrive back at Joint Base Andrews tonight.
Michael Cohen is back on Capitol Hill for day 3 of testimony. President Trump's former lawyer will sit in front of the House Intelligence Committee. Except today, everything will be behind closed doors. Unlike yesterday, when things got heated with the House Oversight Committee, Cohen being grilled in front of the nation for nearly 6 hours.
I am not protecting Mr. Trump anymore. He is a racist, he is a con man, and he is a cheat.
The now disbarred lawyer pleaded guilty to tax crimes, campaign finance violations, and lying to Congress. Today is Cohen's final appearance. He'll head to prison in May.
On this vote, the yeas are 240 and the nays are 190.
In a sweeping majority, the House of Representatives passed significant gun control legislation. It's the first time since the Clinton administration. The measure requires background checks for virtually all gun sales in the U.S. Right now, licensed dealers have to perform a background check to sell a gun. Unlicensed sellers don't have to. This bill closes that loophole.
Can we guarantee that this will work to make every person safe? It cannot. It will not. But I rise in strong support of doing something.
That criminals don't abide by the law, and this would only create traps for law-abiding gun owners.
8 Republicans voted in favor of the bill. 2 Democrats voted against it. The bill heads to the Senate, where it is not expected to pass in the GOP-led chamber.
This morning, NBC2 was learning new details after a doctor was shot inside a Florida emergency room last night. Now, you can see the scene right here in Riviera Beach. Police were called to Veterans Affairs Medical Center after a 59-year-old double amputee shot the doctor. The shooter has been identified as Larry Bond. Bond was actually a patient at the hospital. The doctor is now in stable condition.
The same doctor who sustained the neck injury was the same person who subdued the subject. He's very brave. I'm not going to release his name at this time, but he's doing well, and he did a heroic thing today.
The VA hospital later released a statement saying the area was secured and safe for public, patients, and staff to return. The patient's motive right now is unclear. Governor Ron DeSantis wants to change how we buy health care coverage and make it more like shopping online. The governor says he wants to see price transparency and lower health care cost for Florida patients. He announced this yesterday at Memorial Regional Hospital in Hollywood. He showed off the hospital's online portal that shows patients how much their treatment will cost before they get it.
This allows a mechanism where making those decisions that you as a consumer and as a patient will benefit. This is one tool that we're looking for to try to create a downward pressure on the cost of all this stuff.
Governor DeSantis says that he has a number of insurance providers already on board, and he's working to bring even more in.
Happening right now at 11:06. Good morning. I'm Stacey Defenbaugh from the Alert Center, updating you on a situation happening right now in Texas. Chuck, if we could go ahead and pull up this live feed here just moments ago, you can see the Energy Secretary, Rick Perry, there speaking with reporters. This is a joint press conference just starting. He's giving an update on the global energy markets and talking about the future of American energy. I'll keep you updated from your NBC2 Alert Center.
All right, Stacey, thank you. Well, rides, crazy food, and a lot of animals. Today, the 95th Southwest Florida and Lee County Fair kicks off. It's being held in North Fort Myers at the Lee Civic Center that is just off of Bayshore Road. Organizers tell NBC2 that they want the fair to be a safe and fun place for everyone to go. So, the Lee County Sheriff's Office, they're making sure that happens. NBC2's Ashley Dyer is live now with what they're doing to keep all of us protected. Good morning, Ashley.
Good morning to you, Amanda. Safe and stress-free. Get excited because the fair opens up today at 4. And when it opens, LCSO deputies will be here to make sure everything runs smoothly. They just set up this observation tower right here behind me. Deputies telling me they're going to have someone in it every day the fair is running. It's also equipped with cameras surrounding the whole entire thing. The tower extends 30 feet into the air. So from this position, they say they'll be able to monitor both the parking lot and the fairgrounds. Deputies say it works as a deterrent to make people stop and think before committing a crime. Now, if you take a look out there to the fairgrounds, you can see all the rides are set up and ready to go. All the vendors getting set up as well. We know one of the new desserts out here will be rolled ice cream. The fair will run for 11 days until March 10th. So you can have about a week and a half there to come out here and check it out. I'm live in North Fort Myers. Ashley Dyer, NBC2.
NBC2 is following a tragic story. We can confirm a Cape Coral man died in a forklift accident in Punta Gorda. Now you can see from these photos here the scene that really all went down Wednesday morning at a home off Scenic View Drive. Now people there are praying for Luis Garcia's family.
All I could hear is him moaning and hollering, help me, because it happened so fast. I haven't had a chance to process it.
The owner of the company came out, he was just devastated. This gentleman apparently has been a longtime employee and they just love him.
Now, investigators say that the forklift fell onto Garcia. He was driving it up soft sand to deliver a load of concrete blocks. Rescuers used airbags to free the 61-year-old. However, he died on the way to the hospital.
The man accused of killing a Fort Myers police officer is facing a new charge in jail. Deputies say that Wisner DeMarais set off a fire alarm with his shoe because he didn't get a snack bag. The report also states that DeMarais shouted at deputies, saying, quote, "When I get out, I'm going to find you." The trial for a Cape Coral man accused of murder continues today. Ryan Doyon is accused of killing Roy Pike in 2017. Doyon tried, claiming it was a self-defense shooting. Today, we're expecting testimonies from witnesses.
A guilty conscience got the best of someone 50 years later. A library in Parma, Ohio, received an unexpected package. Inside, staff found a 1968 copy of Life magazine with the Beatles on the cover, plus a $100 money order, as well as a note that read, "I stole this magazine from the Parma Ridge Road Library when I was a kid. I'm sorry I took it. I've enclosed a check for the late fee."
All right, the reason behind a Cape Coral police chase is something that you just need to hear to understand. Roll the tape.
For a burger, like, I didn't think you had to go like that far to just get a burger.
A Cape Coral woman now in trouble with police. How hunger got the best of her.
Burglars are breaking into homes in Naples. Coming up at 11:30, I'll tell you which neighborhoods were targets and what police are asking you to do.
And it is just gorgeous once again outdoors this morning as we take a live look from Southwest Florida International Airport. A check of what the weather looks like and if there's any more rain in the 7-day forecast in just a few minutes.
Man, if we can keep today's weather throughout the weekend, I will be one happy guy.
Yeah, it's certainly beautiful outside, but I don't know. Rob, is it going to stay?
Yeah, well, it looks like it's going to be good for the rest of this afternoon. The weekend's shaping up pretty good. But if you're looking forward to maybe some cooler air, because it is technically still winter, I've also got some good news for you in the 7 and 10-day forecast. But here's the deal. Happening right now, it's beautiful, gorgeous outdoors, outside right now. It's so nice outdoors, I can't get the words out of my mouth, apparently. But here's the deal. Lots of sunshine continues for the NCH produce market happening in Naples over the next few hours. Temperatures will find themselves in the middle 70s here as you step outdoors for lunch or pick up some good produce there in the city of Naples. Live Doppler radar right now as it swings over top of Golden Gate and North Naples along Airport Pulling Road and Livingston Road. Looks nice and quiet, and that is the case right now for every neighborhood along the Gulf Coast of South Florida. With the weather setup that we have in place today, you shouldn't expect any rain, and in fact cloud cover may be hard to come by this afternoon as the atmosphere is much more stable than it was yesterday and the day before yesterday when we had a decent amount of rain for dry season here in this part of the state. So through the rest of the day, look for pretty quiet conditions, and that means good boating weather returns. West winds at 5 knots this afternoon, translating into open seas away from the beaches around 1 to 2 feet, and then just nice and smooth conditions on the inland waterways here in southwest Florida. Now throughout the night tonight, the temperatures will drop back a touch cooler than where they've been of late. We're back into the low 60s, in fact, in Punta Gorda and to North Fort Myers, and Cape Coral, and we will hold on to the mid 60s overnight tonight toward Naples and Marco Island. When you consider that there is still a bit of humidity in the atmosphere, once again it will be a possibility early tomorrow for some areas of patchy fog. The fog, should it develop, should be most thick during the sunrise hour, and then it'll be out of here once we gain some more sunshine. 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning, fog should be gone, and that gives way to a beautiful day for us on Friday. Now tomorrow there may be just a few more clouds in the sky during the afternoon, but yet again rain opportunities are back below 20%, so you shouldn't have to worry about too much rain on Friday, but rather just look forward to enjoying a nice day here in southwest Florida. In fact, the next 3 days look pretty nice as high temperatures all the way through the first half of the weekend top out in the low to mid 80s, and nighttime low temperatures fall back into the low 60s. But if you look at the extended outlook, if my graphics want to keep along here with me, you'll notice some much cooler weather developing next week. Look at that. On Monday into Tuesday, cold front comes our direction, and the way things look right now is it should push daytime high temperatures to only top out in the upper 70s on Tuesday and low 70s by Wednesday. And man, it's been a long time since we've had weather that cool here in southwest Florida. Back to you.
Yeah, Cape Coral police arrested this woman, Tiara Crace, for refusing to stop for an officer. Let's take a look at that video again. An officer caught her speeding on Del Prado Boulevard, but she didn't pull over. Instead, led officers right to her home, and apparently she did it all for a cheeseburger.
Hold the pickles, extra speed.
I didn't think you had to go like that far to just get a burger.
Cape Coral police say Tiara Crace did, leading officers on a high-speed chase for a cheeseburger.
So we understand that's funny, but again, she was failing to stop for a law enforcement officer.
Officers clocked the 26-year-old going 61 in a 45 zone on Del Prado. Officers tried catching up to her Kia, but Crace kept going, eventually turning into the Coral Lakes gated community.
You just pull over. I mean, that's all you got to do. Just crazy, weird.
Mike Lenberg, owner of Lenberger, can relate to Crace's craving.
On the end, I understand her because when you get hungry for a cheeseburger, you want a cheeseburger, you know? I think it's worth it to hurry up a little bit.
But thinks running from police is...
It's pretty crazy, for sure.
And not to mention pointless. Stop! As officers eventually caught Crace running into her home.
Now she has 2 felonies and a misdemeanor charge, plus the speeding.
As for the famous cheeseburger,
either she had already gotten it or was heading to get the cheeseburger is a mystery.
Now, Crace is out of jail. She was being held on a $9,000 bond, which when you think about it, could have been a whole lot of cheeseburgers.
Yes, it definitely could have. Okay, how about this? North Collier emergency crews were sent to a home in Naples because of an alert sent from someone's Apple Watch. It turns out there was no emergency. The person was okay. But here's how it happened. A tech expert tells NBC2 the watch can sense when a person falls down hard and will send an alert to that person's wrist. If that person does not respond to that alert, then the watch sends an emergency message to first responders.
And then after it beeps, it'll call 911 and it'll also call your emergency contact list to let you know that some sort of incident happened.
Remember, your watch will contact emergency services automatically if you don't answer within the first 60 seconds. You do have to turn wrist detection on before it works. And if you're going to the River District Art Walk tomorrow in Fort Myers, listen to this. Sanibel Captiva Bank is replacing an undisclosed amount of $20 bills with $50 bills at their ATM. It's on Henry Street in the Edison Theater building. The bank is the main sponsor of the Art Walk. If you want to go tomorrow, the hours are 6 to 10 p.m., rain or shine.
With the next Coachella less than 2 months away, the American Civil Liberties Union is demanding changes be made to the festival's restroom policy. The ACLU sent a letter to Coachella saying that people who identify as transgender should be able to use the bathroom that corresponds to how they identify, not the gender assigned to them at birth. It was sent on behalf of two siblings. One of them talks about the impact of being rejected from a bathroom based on what they looked like.
I felt really bad, I guess, that like, oh, I'm not woman enough to use this restroom, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Within hours, Coachella organizers released a statement calling the situation the siblings experienced, quote, unacceptable. Organizers have promised to set up male, female, and all gender restrooms and train its staff.
All right, take a look at that. Certainly not what you expect to see when you look out your window. Why people with pets need to be extra careful. That's coming up.
Hey, testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Eric, 1, 2, 3, 1, 4, 4, 4, 9, 6, 7, 4, 4, 2, 9, 9, 2, 2, 4, 4, 9, 6, 7, 4, 2, 9, 6, 9, 4, 9, 6, 2, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4.
All right, it's Thursday. That means we're joined by Eric Raditz with Florida Weekly. Eric, thank you very much for coming.
Pleasure to be here. Nate and Amanda, how you doing?
We're doing well.
Doing very well. We'll dive right into it. So, Florida voters chose to ban greyhound racing in Florida, but it's not in effect yet. The question is, what will happen to all these dogs?
Exactly, and so Amendment 13 passed with a vote that says we will no longer have greyhound racing in Florida as of May of 2020. Now, the problem is we have thousands of greyhound dogs. What is going to happen to them? We dig deep and find out that the Florida Department of Business and Professional Regulation Division of Parimutuel Racing is charged with the protection of those dogs. However, there doesn't really seem to be a plan in place as to where they will all be adopted. So we're finding that the industry and nonprofits are likely going to be the ones to determine that they're safely cared for. We also look at those who have adopted greyhounds, and we find out how you, our reader, can adopt one if you are in a position to. We definitely get to the facts of where these greyhounds will go.
If you ask me, I think they should be all go to a farm and have all this land to run free for retirement.
That's a great idea.
And you know, a perfect world, right?
Yeah, perfect world.
You have money for that, of course, and it's perfect for the business section because it's a topic that a lot of people have had a lot of controversy and a lot of debate about for years is minimum wage. Should there be one? Should there not be one? What do you think?
Exactly. And so minimum wage actually just got a bit of a raise up to $8.46 an hour January 1st. But there's still a lot of concern and discussion that it should be raised more. What are the pros and cons of raising minimum wage? Obviously, workers will be making more. How do business owners see it? And what is the likelihood that we'll be a state like others who have raised their minimum wage to $13 and even $15 an hour? We get into that in this business section.
Certainly pros and cons both ways. Okay, so we have a bit of a musical wizard here in our backyard. He's been doing this for 23 years, and you guys are profiling him this week.
Yes, and so how do you feel about symphony music, and have you heard of the Gulf Coast Symphony? We get deep with Andrew Kurtz, the maestro, the wizard, who has been doing it for in his 23rd season now, and we find out just exactly what it's like planning performances through these 23 years, what performances he has coming up this year, and we find out what's happening this season. So if you love classical music, we explain all the benefits that it brings to you, the enjoyment of the viewer, and also the community.
Yeah, recently gotten into listening to violin and cello, and it just amazes me the amount of skill level that these artists have. It's insane, worth checking out.
Right here in Southwest Florida.
Right here in Southwest Florida, too. And you know what? If you don't feel like you want to go to the Southwest Florida Fair in Lee County this weekend, you guys have a lot of more things to do in your top picks.
A lot of things in the top picks, and if you pick up our calendar, you certainly will have no excuses. There's plenty to do in town. A couple of top picks, if you've heard of Gin Blossoms.
Oh, yeah.
They're in town. Dan Miller Jazz at the Barrel Room. There's a Ford Card Show, and there's also a Strawberry Music Festival, to name just a few, but lots of more options. If you're not sure that there's anything to do, pick up Florida Weekly, because there's plenty to do in town. Bring a friend, go by yourself, make a new friend, bring your family.
What's it called? Hey Jealousy? You know that song?
Hey Jealousy.
Yeah. Hey Jealousy.
That's it.
Yeah,
that's
I'm
them.
sure.
That's Gin Blossoms.
That's what I'm saying. That's
go
what
meet
I'm
them. Go
about.
Listen to them.
Yeah, they'll sound a lot better than us, I'm sure.
Probably.
But I thought we did okay.
Oh, we did all right.
All right, Eric, we will see you next week and hopefully have more songs later.
Always a pleasure. Thanks.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Eric.
Nate.
All right, the show continues 58 years after humans first entered space. Now that cat might be there forever. We'll explain next.
Police are seeing more burglaries throughout neighborhoods in Naples. Coming up at 11:30, I'll tell you what the thieves are taking and what police are doing about it.
these predators are really genuinely sick individuals, and that they don't think the same way we think.
A Cape Coral man caught luring middle schoolers. NBC2 talks to experts to find out how you can protect your kids from sexual predators.
Is it potentially deadly? Absolutely.
And highly contagious. The new approach medical experts are taking to try and stop measles from spreading in the United States.
Live, the news you count on. NBC2 News at 11.
The Naples Police Department is warning residents this morning after a string of burglaries in Naples.
Now take a look. They've happened in these neighborhoods: Park Shore, Coquina Sands, Old Naples, Lake Park, and Aqua Lane Shores. NBC2's Edna Ruiz joins us from Coquina Sands neighborhood. Now, Edna, what are police saying?
Well, typically the police department has officers patrolling different areas in Naples, but since the burglaries, you'll start seeing more cars on the road, more patrolling on the roads and in your neighborhoods. And while they're looking for anything or anyone that looks suspicious, they're also asking you to keep an eye out. Make sure you're locking your doors, including garage doors. According to police, the burglars got into homes through sliding doors, garage side doors, and tearing through screens. They took designer bags, jewelry, cash, and electronics. Some people living in this neighborhood say this is definitely a wake-up call for many.
And I haven't noticed any suspicious activity or haven't heard of such, but yeah, I'm going to lock all the doors, double check that they're locked, and stay extra vigilant.
So far, police haven't caught the burglars yet. Of course, if you know anything or if you see anything suspicious, you are urged to report it immediately. I'm live in Naples. Edna Ruiz, NBC2.
The one thing that's not reversible is suicide.
This is really scary. If you're a parent, you need to listen to this. There's a deadly social media trend right now. That's it. It's called the Momo Challenge. Andrew Lofholm reports how it's encouraging kids to commit suicide.
Mother of three Jessica Edwards first heard about the Momo Challenge Tuesday morning from her sister.
She asked my niece about it, and my niece just started crying and ran into my sister's arms. And that just broke me.
Originally a Japanese statue, this is Momo with bulging eyes, a chilling smile, and jet black hair on a bird's body. The Momo Challenge will be shared on social media like Facebook or their free messaging app, WhatsApp. The challenge is to meet Momo, and to do so, one must follow a series of instructions, which can include harming others or yourself.
When my friends or my family members asked the kids about it, they immediately were like, "How do you know about it?" And then ran to them and cried.
The one thing that's not reversible is suicide.
We asked Dr. Rafi Wald, a psychologist, how to talk about the implications of the Momo Challenge to your kids.
The way you want to have it is talking about how there are people out there in the world that might try to convince you to do bad things, might try to convince you to do things that you know you don't want to do.
If you see this on your kid's phone, there's no good coming from that.
Online, Alan Crowitz, our technology expert, says learn the texting acronyms and download software that can track kids' online activity and teach your kids like you would about how to cross the street safely.
But how many people watching this have sat down and had the talk with their children about, what they're doing online, who they're communicating with, what they're sharing?
It is so messed up something like that exists. The Momo Challenge has been linked to the death of a girl in Argentina, but none here in the United States.
Right now, a Lee County school bus driver is under investigation, accused of abusing a student. That student goes to Hancock Creek Elementary School. The child's dad says the driver grabbed his daughter's face and scratched her eye. A deputy who took the report confirmed that scratch. Right now, we are waiting to hear back from the school district on this incident.
The man accused of preying on young girls in Cape Coral is no longer in custody this morning. This week, a jury convicted this guy, Romeo Sanchez, for having sex with a 14-year-old girl who was a family friend. Investigators also determined that while he was being investigated for that, he went after a different 13-year-old girl, and he met her at a restaurant on Pine Island Road, right there. This is obviously so scary for all parents, and sexual abuse survivors say there are steps that we need to take to protect our kids.
Really, these conversations need to start taking place with children even at a very, very young age, in an age-appropriate way. There are really bad people out there creating fake profiles, and if you don't go to school with them, if they're not in your circle of influence that you personally know, you can't guarantee that you're talking to who you think you're talking to.
Sanchez has a sentencing hearing in May. He could face life in federal prison.
NBC2 has confirmed the name of the suspect in a stabbing in Naples. Take a look at your screen. He's right there, Kenneth Wilkinson. And this is also video from the scene after the stabbing. Investigators tell NBC2 it started with a fight outside of a Dick's Sporting Goods store. That happened in the parking lot of the store near Airport Pulling Road. The two men involved knew each other, and right now we're working to confirm how the victim is doing.
Imagine finding out your home has been listed for rent and you know nothing about it. Now, police in Cape Coral are warning us about a Craigslist rental scam that's going around right now. These people are not listing their homes for rent at all. Police say these crimes happen all of the time, and scammers are using public information and pictures of homes from websites like Zillow. Officers say the best way to avoid getting scammed is to make sure that you're dealing with a reputable rental company. And if you plan on moving to Orlando, be ready to shell out a pretty penny. Take a look at this. New data shows rent has risen over $1,000 a month in the city. That's the average. Overall, Orlando's jump is about 3.1% over the past year. That's edging out Tampa, which is at about a 3% increase. Miami's at 1% right now. People living in Orlando's metro area are seeing rent rise faster than any other big city in the entire country.
Big plans in the works for downtown Fort Myers. Right now, the lot right next to Centennial Park is just a field of dirt, but the owner says that will change in the coming months. The owner tells NBC2 he's working to fix the lot's seawall. That's right off of West 1st Street, again next to Centennial Park along the Caloosahatchee River. He says that the docks could be in the water in the next 3 months, and he could even add a waterside restaurant within a year.
To get people to use the community, you have to have a friendly way of having them be able to dock, have access to the park and downtown Fort Myers.
I think that it's a perfect location. It's in the heart of the city, and it's obviously a waterfront property.
The owner tells NBC2 he has the permits to put the docks in for a marina. You can, of course, count on us to let you know if it happens.
Workers in Collier County are working on a $1 million beach project. Take a look at the work right now. What they're doing is they're pushing 100,000 cubic yards of sand away from the shoreline in Marco Island. It's all part of a $1.1 million regrading project. The goal is to eliminate ponding from Sand Dollar Island south to the Madeira Beach access point. It's about a mile-long stretch. People going to the beach there say they're really just looking forward for the project to be completed.
And I think also it's a much shorter walk to the beach. As you can see, it's pretty extensive, especially for those towers in the back there. That's quite a bit of a way just to get to the beachfront, so it'd be nice.
The county says ponding can cause algae to pop up, which of course can be a health concern. Moving the sand will also help sea turtles nest. The project is expected to be finished by mid-April.
We'll go ahead and grab some bug spray and keep it close because the rain we had earlier this week is bringing those pesky mosquitoes back. Lee County Mosquito Control will spray today. They tell NBC2 the rain is bringing mosquitoes out all over the county. Yesterday, they were in northwest Cape Coral, Estero, and Alva looking for larvae.
Mosquitoes are driven by the weather, so anytime we have a lot of rain and it's warm like it is right now, the eggs will hatch out, they'll go through their life cycle quicker, and we'll have adults quicker.
NBC2 will let you know where today they are spraying as soon as we find out, but what you can do right now is dump any standing water outside of your home out. Lawmakers on Capitol Hill discussing what has been called a growing public health threat. In the first 2 months of this year, more than 159 cases of measles have been confirmed in the U.S. in 10 different states. Now, during the hearing, representatives talked to experts who focused on the need for vaccinations as the primary prevention tool. Doctors from the CDC on Capitol Hill told congressional leaders that despite the eradication of the virus in the U.S., measles continues to circulate.
Is it potentially deadly? Absolutely.
And measles is so incredibly contagious that it can spread really quickly. So yes, we should be concerned.
Doctors say that anyone who has concerns about a particular vaccine or the recommended vaccine schedule, they should discuss that with their child's pediatrician.
Here in Southwest Florida, skin cancer is unfortunately a year-round concern. On today's Health Matters, Lindsay Morton finds out how skin screenings can save your life.
It's the most common form of cancer.
I've removed skin cancer from people who are very fair to very dark. It doesn't discriminate.
Dermatologist Dr. Mary Pilcher says many people don't even realize they have skin cancer.
Skin cancer can be very insidious. It hides.
Which is why she recommends regular skin screenings.
It is recommended, since we are in Southwest Florida, to at least do a monthly self-skin exam. Look in the mirror intentionally. Check spots, use a hand mirror, look at your back, look at your buttocks, places you don't normally see.
If you've previously had skin cancer, having regular skin screenings with your doctor is important.
If you have any history of skin cancer, any family history of skin cancer, especially melanoma, I do recommend a once-a-year checkup. Skin cancer screenings help people find if they do have a problem.
Keep an eye on spots that appear to be getting darker or bigger. Anything greater than 6 millimeters needs to be evaluated by your doctor.
Anything after 30, you shouldn't be getting a new spot. And that includes things that you think are pimples. A lot of skin cancers can initially appear to be like a bug bite or a pimple. If something's not gone after a month, it needs to be checked.
If you're spending time outside, make sure to keep your skin protected from the sun with clothing, sunglasses, and sunscreen with the right SPF.
If you're going to be out, use at least a 30 and reapply every 1 to 2 hours.
Regular skin screenings and learning your skin can help you notice any new or changing spots. All can help lower your risk for skin cancer. For Lee Health, I'm Lindsay Morton.
Even the best of parents can lose track of their kids.
We don't want another family to lose a child. So far this year, Florida has lost 5 children.
Florida leads the nation in drowning deaths. How a new bill hopes to change a terrifying statistic.
All right, the forecast, though, for you today is looking really very nice, but there's some big changes coming up in the 7-day forecast. I'll explain in just a few minutes.
Test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Yeah, you're taking an exclusive behind-the-scenes look right now inside JetBlue Park at Fenway South. Of course, the Red Sox are taking on the Washington Nationals in the next couple of hours. Right now at the ballpark, temperatures are in the mid-70s. Wind is light out of the northwest at 5 miles an hour. And if you're going to the game today, you have got just perfect weather for it. Lots of sunshine and temperatures during game time back in the upper 70s there at JetBlue Park at Fenway South. Live Doppler radar as it swings over top of Charlotte Harbor and DeSoto County. Glades County looks nice and quiet for areas like Palmdale and North Fort Myers. We're looking nice and clear for Lehigh Acres through Bonita Springs and Immokalee. And for neighborhoods across southwest Collier, you two are looking fine. Golden Gate to Marco Island, not a drop of rain in sight as of right now. That's also good news tonight because the forecast will stay dry throughout the entire evening. So if you're headed to De La Salle's Academy Spaghetti Dinner and Talent Show, which is of course tonight, their annual event, you've got good weather on the drive to and on the drive from. Once things wrap up after 7, 8 o'clock tonight, expect temperatures to drop back into the low 70s. But again, conditions will be pretty clear throughout the nighttime hours. With the exception is, of course, we get toward tomorrow morning, because once we get towards sunrise, yet again, it will be possible for some areas of patchy fog to develop. As nighttime temperatures cool off a bit more than the past couple of nights, we'll find ourselves around 63 degrees overnight tonight. So a bit of a break from the mild weather, at least for a few hours as we get towards sunrise tomorrow morning. The overall weather setup is nice and quiet now across the central and south Florida, but is still a bit active up here toward the northern part of the state. Through the day tomorrow, some of this shortwave energy, basically faster winds in the atmosphere in the mid parts of it, are going to be moving across the northern sections of Florida. What that means for your forecast tomorrow is that there could be a little rain popping up in northern and central Florida, but here in southwest Florida, we should be pretty much immune from it. What they will see, though, is more cloud cover during the afternoon tomorrow, but mathematically on Friday, rain chances are below 20%. So I wouldn't worry much about rain tomorrow, but you will see a few more clouds in the sky. So if you're headed to the Twins and the Red Sox game tomorrow, first pitch set for 1:05 in the afternoon. Highs will be around 80 degrees under basically a blend of sun and clouds. So looking pretty good for spring break and spring training games during the day tomorrow. I mentioned before the break, there's some cooler weather coming up in the 7 and 10 day forecast. Look at this. I got to be honest with you. I cannot remember the last time we had a high temperature of 70, but as of the way things look right now, that's our high temperature for the upcoming Wednesday forecast, all thanks to a good sized cold front and moving down the peninsula as we get toward early next week. So I know not everyone likes cold weather, and I'm with you as well, but a little break will be nice because it is still technically winter here in Northern Hemisphere.
Yeah, something for everybody. If you like the warm weather, then enjoy it this weekend.
All right, Rob, thank you.
Okay.
Well, a staple of North Fort Myers is open again. Community pool is on Orange Grove Boulevard, and after almost 60 years, the county closed it down last March because it was unusable. Construction started in August, and less than 6 months later, the pool and water slides are back open.
This is another big investment by Lee County in the community of North Fort Myers. This is $1.7 million that we put into the community to try and provide a great quality of life here in North Fort Myers.
Well, NBC2 is tracking your tax dollars. Commissioner Hammond mentioned rebuilding the pool cost $1.7 million, and the county actually saved $300,000 on this project than what it originally budgeted for.
Well, pools are fun, but they can also be dangerous. New this morning, a bill is making its way through our capital to help prevent kids from drowning. Florida leads the nation in drowning deaths for kids under 5 years old, and some parents are demanding change.
Being smart in the water. That's the goal for the Safe and Healthy Children's Coalition in Collier County. But no matter how smart they get, there's always a chance that something could go wrong.
Every time that we hear the news that another family lost a child, you know, our heart breaks for them. And
Paula DiGrigoli is part of that team.
we always say, what could have been done to have prevented it?
They're watching this bill closely. She calls it common sense and hopes that it becomes law.
We as a parents cannot supervise the children 24/7, and that is why more of these layers is what we feel that is going to prevent a drowning.
Those layers include a fence around the pool, a cover, an alarm that floats in the water, and these.
This is a door or window alarm, and the idea is to place this in door or any window facing any body of water, and that way when a child opens the door or the window, the parents are going to be alert. And the way that it works is that when they open,
If this bill passes, new pools would have to have at least 2 of these safety precautions.
and that way if you are in the bathroom or in the bedroom or maybe getting the groceries out of the car, you're going to hear the sound.
Paula says kids are curious and drawn to the water. She says something needs to change because more children drown in Florida than any other state.
The legislative session begins next week. Now, if you want one of those free door and window alarms, we do have a link on our NBC2 News app where you can find that.
Well, hurricane season will be here in 3 months, and now lawmakers are working on more storm shelters in Southwest Florida. In Charlotte County, there are no Red Cross approved storm shelters. This morning, a bill is hitting the House floor asking the state for $8 million to build the county's first approved shelter. The bill is backed by Representative Michael Grant. He says Babcock Ranch is working on the project along with Florida Power and Light.
We need a shelter here because there are a lot of people that cannot leave.
We are just a small part of the solution, but very happy to be a creative, integrated part of that solution.
Okay, Babcock Ranch sits 25 feet above sea level, unlike most areas of Charlotte County. When it's not being used for emergency housing, Babcock Ranch plans on using it to promote health and wellness as a field house. Well, do you recognize this popular Lee County fishing pier? It's been shut down for months, and now the county says it may stay this way for years. The Matlacha fishing pier at Matlacha Community Park closed last summer because of structural damage. The county says rebuilding the entire 50-year-old pier is a better use of tax dollars than replacing the pilings. The new pier would have the same footprint as the old one, but officials say they need a lot of permits before they can begin building it. County commissioners also still need to vote on a contract.
The pilings have been rotting away for a while. It's been, if you drive by it by boat, you'll see the pilings are just covered in oysters, and instead of being this big around, they're back down to this big, so it needs to be worked on.
Okay, this is projected to cost just over $770,000. The funds would come from the county's tourist development tax. Now, the county says they're not sure when this will reopen. They say the entire process could take 2 to 3 years.
All right, check out this exclusive video. Pretty scary stuff. A panther was just hanging out feet away from a home in Golden Gate Estates. Now, this video was taken on Tuesday night. Neighbors tell NBC2 it's just part of living in Golden Gate Estates. They say bears, panthers, and alligators are all fairly common, but it's pretty unique to catch a panther so close, especially in broad daylight. The woman who captured this video was standing in her driveway, and she says it was a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
I had just been making dinner and I looked out the window and I saw him approach the property and come on and cut through, and then he came up the driveway. It was extraordinary because as a science teacher, it doesn't get any better than that.
Wildlife experts say that if you have pets in rural areas like this, it's best to keep them secured. You can best do that by keeping them on leashes so they're safe from animals like panthers.
A cat in Oregon that was put to sleep last month may go where no other deceased feline has gone before, to outer space. Steve Munt is a former NASA employee and dad to Pikachu the orange cat. Before Pikachu died, he was famous on Twitter, and now Steve wants to memorialize Pikachu for him and his supporters by launching his ashes into space. Get this, it's going to cost him $5,000 to do it, but Steve thinks it's well worth it.
I don't see this as something frivolous. You know, I see this, to me, it's a very deep, deeply affecting experience for me.
Clearly. This makes Pikachu the first deceased cat to ever orbit Earth. Steve has set up a GoFundMe page that has raised about $1,000 for Pikachu's send-off to space.
Undocumented immigrants locked in cells for 22 hours a day. NBC2 is showing you the conditions inside next.
California's Attorney General has released a report on conditions at immigration detention facilities across the state. Now, state officials visited all 10 facilities in California where undocumented immigrants are housed. However, the Attorney General's office only had time to comprehensively review 3 of them. Vic Lee brings us the findings.
We're not interested in having detention facilities operate in a cloak of darkness.
State Attorney General Javier Becerra released his report on the conditions of immigration detention facilities in California. The State Department of Justice visited all 10 facilities in the state which house undocumented immigrants, but because of time constraints, his office was only able to comprehensively review 3 of them. Their findings: prolonged confinement without breaks with some detainees in their cells for up to 22 hours a day, significant language barriers, lack of access to medical and mental health care, and obstacles contacting family and lawyers.
A lot of this is due to the fact that the federal government is not doing its job of overseeing these detention centers.
One of the 3 facilities inspected, the West Contra Costa County Detention Center in Richmond, which last year ended its contract with ICE. The facility was a target of protests following allegations of abusive practices.
In some circumstances, women were forced to defecate and urinate in biohazard bags because they were locked in their cells for extended periods of time.
That was Vic Lee reporting. Now, the report was prompted by a 2017 law requiring state justice authorities to start examining conditions in the detention facilities.
All new, ahead at noon.
No deal for President Trump leaving his summit with Kim Jong-un empty-handed. NBC2 takes you back to Washington to find out what comes next.